Good evening. I'm Kelly Wright. Thanks for joining me as we spend this next hour together. As always, I do sincerely hope that you're safe and well, taking care of yourself and your family because you matter. Opening observations tonight. It's time to talk about Christmas. It's time to talk about hope. We haven't done that enough, in my opinion, because we've been so overwhelmed by the racial divide, so overwhelmed by the political divide, so overwhelmed and overburdened by the big elephant in the room, the coronavirus pandemic. And yet, hope prevails because there is a vaccination that's out there and more vaccines scheduled to arrive. The point is, as we move forward, we will learn in today's program how important it is to always focus on doing things together. One thing I will point out, with the death toll spiraling out of control from coronavirus, some 3,000 deaths a day, that's equivalent to a 9/11 every day. So we must come together, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, and wearing a mask to protect us all. Let's put the politics aside and let's bring in what's real. And that is, I'll take care of you, you take care of me. We're all in this together. We're all striving to beat this virus together and have a wonderful new year. So, having said that, let's stay focused on the main thing. And the main thing is to get healthy. The main thing is to win this war against a menacing and deadly coronavirus. And those are my opening observations. Well, joining me now to start things off, the West Coast Connection in the House, attorneys Mark Harris and Timothy Allen Simon. And again, pointing out that Mark Harris is a Politico and Timothy a Politico. They both had political offices. Mark working with the Clinton administration and Timothy Allen Simon working with Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was in power in California, also serving as Commissioner of Public Utilities. And Mark is currently an economist, an economics professor, and also a wonderful attorney who is a partner to the Ben Crump law firm. Timothy Allen Simon, also a wonderful attorney, both men incredible. Timothy owning, of course, TAS Strategies and serving as chairman of the board of directors for the California African American Chamber of Commerce. So, gentlemen, I say all that to say, you are aware of what's going on in the world politically and legally. What do you think about the fact that the Republicans are finally coming around to congratulate President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, including the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who spoke from the Senate floor congratulating both of those candidates as they begin to come into office? It's time, right?
You know what? I'm going to say, Kelly, and first of all, it's good to see you. It's good to see my dear friend Timothy Simon as well. I'm not as bothered by all of this. Maybe I've been in the game a little too long, but I try to separate form from substance. This is more form, and it's poor form on the part of the Republicans, in my opinion, than it is substance. If you're talking about being at a governing disadvantage, the Democrats aren't. We will come in on January 20th under the leadership of President-elect, then President Joe Biden, seconded by the Vice President-elect, then Vice President Kamala Harris, and nothing that the Republicans have done or will do will disrupt that on any kind of a substantive basis. Senator Harris remains on the Judiciary Committee, remains on all the intelligence committees, all the important committees in the Senate. She's been updated throughout. Of course, former Vice President, now President-elect Biden is now accessing all of the national security information. It's poor form, but substantively, I don't think it'll have that much effect.
Timothy.
Well, Senator McConnell is the leader of the Senate, meaning that he leads the entire Senate. Unfortunately, we've seen a level of fractionalization on a partisan basis of the United States Senate that sometimes makes us forget that the role of the Senate leader is the leader of all of his members, even though there is a minority leader in Chuck Schumer of New York. So using a term I've used before, he did what he was supposed to do, and he did it from the Senate floor. And it's important to point out that both, obviously, Senator Harris and Joe Biden are both members of the Senate. In Joe Biden's case, a former member of the Senate, but still part of that club. So I think Mitch McConnell did the right thing. I believe he's looked at the odds and sees that the president does not have any reasonable avenue to overturn this election. This term may be a little vicious, but the rats do jump off the ship when it's going down. And that's what you see here, is that certain Republicans have no choice but to jump off the ship now. That inauguration is around the corner. The Electoral College has made its declaration. It's time.
Absolutely. I would mention President Trump, who was tweeting into the night saying, no, it's too soon. There's still more time to, I'm not even going to entertain that. I'm going to go to the fact that the president-elect, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, I should say, spoke with ABC's Robin Roberts today. And she talked about the important fundamental things that matter most to this country. She spoke as a leader of the American people, all the American people. She was talking about democracy and being concerned about democracy moving forward. She's also quite concerned about the stimulus package, and stating this. She said, I don't understand the hesitation, referring to members of Congress, in passing a stimulus package. And she said, the people are hurting. People in Washington need to stop living in a bubble and start helping the American people who are standing in food lines, looking at their children, wondering where their next meal is going to come from because of the disruption to our economy from this coronavirus. Both of you know Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Timothy, you've known her for some 30 years. What kind of vice president is she going to be, especially when she's already signaling to Congress, get your act together and serve the people, all the people?
She is absolutely right. Both sides of Congress, and my brilliant colleague, Attorney Harris, has said this, both sides of the aisle of Congress should be ashamed of themselves. People are hurting. And I do believe that the Democrats could have agreed with the Republicans and vice versa to get something into the families that are out here suffering. And I'm talking white working families that are in food lines. Not that that should make a difference, but we do have a caste system in this country, as Isabel Wilkerson has so brilliantly authored. So I totally agree with her, and I applaud her. They need to get out of the bubble and understand what working families are dealing with today, and businesses as well. We have members out here in California that have shuttered, that have closed down because of Congress's failure to provide support to the people of America.
Timothy Allen Simon and Kimberly Brandon are the first couple of San Francisco. Let me explain what I mean by that. They have mentored a tremendous amount of leaders, starting with Commissioner Simon's own niece, going from there to the current mayor of the city of San Francisco. I was privileged to meet the vice president-elect when she was an assistant district attorney in Alameda County. And I've watched her growth and development over all these years. Kimberly and Timothy have a personal commitment, a personal investment in the vice president-elect. He's being very humble as he talks about the closeness of that relationship. It's good to be able to get older. You know, the old folks used to say, getting older beats the heck out of the alternative. And as I get older, I believe that as well. But one of the benefits of getting older is to watch people grow up. And I'm not using that pejoratively when I talk about the vice president-elect. We've watched her from a very, very young person now become the second most powerful person in the world. I'm so proud of her. What she said this morning on Good Morning America is consistent with who we have known her to become. She'll lead this country from the 2 position, and hopefully someday will lead it from the 1 position as president of the United States.
Very good. Gentlemen, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about a couple of other things. Mark, in particular, wants to give a shout out to a very successful and wealthy woman who's giving a lot of money to a lot of charities and a lot of schools that have been marginalized. That's next. Again, the West Coast Connection is in the house with me. Always love having them. Look, we're just a week away from Christmas, and you know, a lot of people are feeling charitable and doing great things. And Timothy Allen Simon and Mark Harris are joining me to talk about some of the things that people in the public are doing to help out. Mark, why don't you begin with this and talk to me about something that really impressed you?
I've been so impressed by Mackenzie Scott. My wife and I, Dr. Mariana Harris, teach a class at the University of California at Merced entitled Women in Executive Leadership. And we, for the first time, presented Mackenzie Scott to our students this past year. She's the former wife of Jeff Bezos, the chairman and CEO and founder of Amazon. When she divorced Bezos, she wound up with a tremendous amount of money. And rather than just sit on that or to pass it down through multiple generations, she decided to, during the summer, in July, in fact, of this year, make a huge contribution to Howard University, among other historically Black colleges and universities. That wasn't enough for her, though. What she's now done is she's contributed and donated over $4.2 billion to organizations that represent the underrepresented, including a number of other HBCUs, Hampton University, Dillard, Xavier, Morgan State, my mother-in-law's alma mater, Prairie View A&M. This is an amazing thing. I will say this, though. One of the things that we got to stop doing is begging for what we should be buying as a people, Kelly. Wouldn't it be amazing if we could match even a portion of her largesse? Why can't the African-American community get in where it fits in and make a contribution in this holiday season in any amount, just to show that what Mackenzie Scott did will not go unnoticed? I'm so proud of her and so happy that she saw fit to make those donations.
That's remarkable. And Timothy, it is about giving, the season of giving. It's a shame that we have to break it out to be a season, but you would think that after this global pandemic has hit us and continues to hurt us, even with the vaccinations being implemented, that we should really be about being our brothers and sisters' keeper and giving as often as we can. To Mark's point, even if it's as little as $5, give.
Oh, no, I think it's always important to give back, particularly for us as a community that deals with the amount of strife that we see and experience. But I also want to point out the enormous impact of George Floyd. His waning moments touched the world and brought a new level of recognition of the history of the African American and the diaspora. And I would tend to believe that this motivated Ms. Scott, who I agree with Attorney Harris, is just an enormous degree of benevolence in that action. But I will also say that this young man and his death, as his daughter said, changed the world. And hopefully we'll be seeing more wealthy people recognizing that there is a debt, as Randall Robinson wrote, there is a debt that is owed to the African American, and every donor, every philanthropist should have a greater recognition of this.
You know, like I said earlier, you guys are astute politicians. You've got great legal minds, but you also have heart. That's what I love about the two of you. You have heart, you have faith, and goodwill. And I appreciate your reflections on this spirit of giving since we are so close to Christmas. Very good, gentlemen. Thank you for your insights as always. West Coast Connection, attorneys Mark Harris and Timothy Allen Simon, my best to both of you. And we'll be back with more after this.